Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. Okay, there was a little bit of echo. I just turned off the browser so it doesn't repeat after me, which will sound very weird. I made that mistake quite a bit, so if in any case things sounding weird or you guys are not hearing things right, just let me know. Alright, so I'm gonna start as much. I'm gonna start and I'll try to wrap it up as fast as I can since this is weekend and I don't want to delay your weekend plan or... Okay, so this little chipmunk I came across a couple of days ago in the actually near where I work, and it's right outside the office actually. And then what happened is the my wife was waiting for me, and then I walk out the office, and then she just tell me to come over quickly. So I went over, and there's like this tiny little chipmunk. It's probably about this. It's not bigger than the palm of my hand actually, really little. And he's just like really cute and just sitting there and just cruising around. And then I walked very close and took a photo. I zoom in a little bit, but regardless, he let me took the photo. So I saw it's very cute, and I like how the lighting is, and is right on top of a white painted ground surface. So I decided I think I'll paint this one, and I think it will be fun. Hi Chrissy, JD, Virginia, Carolyn, Ira, and everyone else who's tuning in. So I'm just going to start very quickly. So I will probably paint it a little bit bigger than a life size just because I don't want to kill myself. It's really tiny. It's probably about this big. It's probably about this big. So, alright. But anyways, I'll just start by just kind of relax and get like a really basic shape. The gesture of this little chipmunk, if you would. Okay. Okay, so there's a leg right here. Okay, so just a bunch of fast, loose, long line. Okay. And try not to lift your pencil off the paper when you are doing something like this. Just to get the line flowing. Okay. Right now it's not about accuracy. Right now it's just about get the feeling of the whole form here. Hello Ashley, good to see you guys here. So I actually really like streaming with YouTube, just because I think most people when they're on YouTube they're ready to kind of invest a little bit more time. I did a lot of Instagram live before, but most people don't have the patience to hold their phone for that long. And at the same time, I'm not able to sit up like this, so you're not gonna see the paint and everything. Alright, so you can probably barely see that. And that is because it's very light. I can barely see it myself. Okay, so I think after I kind of got everything in, I think I can start to slow down and maybe make a certain darker mark. So I think I'll just start with yeah, maybe I'll start with the eye here. So I'll have the eye here, and got this nice cute little eyes. Well, it's big eyes for its size. And I'll check the position. So the nose is a little bit lower than the eyes to the left. So whenever you're drawing something, either it's a person or whatever it is, an animal, try to measure up and down sideways where things are, the position where the relationships are. So this is the head. We got the ear. Now the start of the ear here is almost aligned to the corner of the eyes here, so we're gonna measure that up there. Okay, and there we have the chipmunk's ear. And then back of the head. And there's another ear. I'm just gonna use this and bring it down here. There's a little bit of perspective going on, so I mean, I'm not going to draw everything in perspective, though I can do that. I'm not going to spend too much time, but in my brain, everything is sort of in perspective. Okay, it is not a completely profile view of this little chipmunk. Maybe we should name this guy. I don't know what to name it though. Just whatever it is, please no Chip and Dale, please. Like, not that I hate them, just I don't need another Disney name animal. Alright, so there's a lot of details in his hand or his forearm or whatever it is, the front feet. But I think just because of the size, I'll probably simplify it quite a bit here. Alright, so the back feet. Alright, so I think I'm still making it a lot smaller than I intended to. I think that is fine though. I think for me, I always have the tendency to kind of start something, and then as I draw it more accurately, I tend to shrink things down quite a bit for whatever reason. So nowadays I usually try to start a little bit bigger, so I have a little bit more room to shrink the things down before it gets too tiny. Okay, so I think we'll make the back just go up a little bit more. And let me see. So the forearm here. Okay, so if we bring this to the left, this is actually where his back leg starts. So we actually need to change the position of the back feet here. So I'm gonna just erase that. Sitting down here, and we have the tail going out like so. All right. Okay, let me clean up the line a little bit. We don't need all this crazy line work. So I am not the best draftsman there is. Like I practice drawing here and there, and then I love to do figure drawings and then portrait drawings, but I'm not the best draftsman. So my drawing usually is a little bit messy. And I usually spend a little bit more time than I have to before I start to paint. Alright. But I think it's important for me to spend my time working on this. This is a relatively small subject, so I actually really want it to look good. So there's some leaves around the chipmunk, and then it's kind of laying a little bit far from it. You see the reference on the side here. That's actually, I cropped that part and I just move it up a little bit. So I liked to have the leaf there kind of around him. So I'll probably have one here and maybe one in the background like that. Let me see, maybe one here, a little one here, one in the background, maybe. Kind of deciding where should I put the other one. Maybe one here, kind of blocking by it. So let me see. I'll have the leaf here. So it's a leaf, so this is definitely less stressful. I don't need it to really need to be careful with it. It's a leaf and it's like a crumbled up leaf. But I like this because it kind of speaks fall to me. So okay. This part rolls up like that. Okay. So as I'm drawing, even though it looks like I am outlining it, I'm really not, at least in my mind. I'm trying to follow the form, I'm trying to feel it. Okay, I'm trying to feel the bumpiness and all that when I'm drawing. So at least for me, it's not that contour drawing is not important, but when you're drawing, try not to outline it. Okay? It's not about outlining the shape and stuff. Okay, it's really about try to get the form, try to get it right. Alright. And I think I'll get one of the leaf here, a little crumbled up, a little broken. Actually, I don't need it that long. I don't want it to compete with his tail, so maybe just a tiny bit kind of peeking out like that behind his back. And we'll have one here. And I'll raise it. Chipmunk's face is longer. Yeah, probably. I'll make it longer just a little bit then. Okay. Alright, so one leaf here. I think I'll put another leaf here. Well, I'm gonna roughly block out his shadow first. I like how the shadow looks. It's just like this really nice, cool color. And the reason is that blues because it's a sunny day and there's a lot of blue skylight. Yeah, so maybe I'm gonna invent something. I'm gonna have a leaf. Gonna have one leaf going here like so. And I'll be inventing the shadows casting on the leaf, but I think that will be it. Oh, I got a lot of people from Canada. That's awesome. And Vancouver is wonderful. I'm actually going to visit Vancouver around during the Thanksgiving weekend. So it'll be fun. Alright. So the tail, just gonna roughly block out the hair and stuff. I'm gonna let the brush do most of the work. And there's a little fuzzy shadows on the floor. I think that is good enough. Let me rotate the camera a little bit so it's a little bit more upright for you guys. Okay. And there's still, because the camera is on the side, it's not directly like behind the back of my head, otherwise my head will blocking it, so there will be a little bit of distortion. It's probably a little bit more like this. So, you know, that's something that you kind of have to deal with. There's no way I can really fix that. Alright, I'll spray a little bit of water on my dry out paint just to revive it. It's a little subject, so I'm not gonna use a huge brush. Okay, I have a... Okay, so, oops. Okay, so I'll start off with the masterpiece of a squirrel. I mean a chipmunk. That'll be the first, but alright, so this is the first wash, so we are only going to give it a very nice light wash. Let me actually erase a little bit more of the pencil mark. Okay, so it's not going to be a lot of dirty graphite as I put my water down. Okay, so you know, a little bit of burnt sienna, Hansen yellow. I actually have some cadmium yellow, a little bit more yellow than brown. Okay, even though it looks really brown, I actually need to make it a little bit lighter. So, alright. So I'm just going to... Here comes the first wash. I'm just going to paint it all over. Okay. And I'll be relatively careful to not to paint outside the silhouette. I do like the ground to be as white as possible. So that, and the eyes too, I can leave a little bit of white highlight there. Okay, I'm using Saunders today, so it's going to dry a little bit faster, which is not a bad thing because I know none of us have a whole day for that. Okay, on the bottom I'm going to use a little bit of blue. Okay, a little bit of cerulean blue, a little bit of cobalt. Okay. Okay, let it go wet onto wet. It's fine. Okay, now I'll mix a little bit more brown color underneath here. Hi, Maina. I hope you don't skip your brunch because of this. It's all going to be recorded, guys, so you know, if you have to leave in the middle of it and stuff, that's totally fine. Don't feel obligated to stay for the whole session. And I'll try to finish it as as fast as I can, but so a little bit of clean water. I want to make this part a little bit lighter, and yeah, not too wet, but a little bit wet, damp on the brush, and I'll just bring out some of the light on the back. There's no highlights, it's fur. Okay, now I am going to use quite a bit of blue here. Bring this down. Connect that so it's So its butt will go out into the shadow. It's going to be connected. Okay, connect that. A little bit of curve here because I did imagine the leaf is going to be there. So now I'm going to be a little bit bold and add some orange here actually. Over here, okay? The reason there's some orange here because look how warm his fur is. So it's actually have a little bit of bounce light back onto the shadow area. And that makes the shadow color a little bit more interesting too. All right. His tail, I'm just going to have a little bit of dry brush here. And let me zoom it in. So the side of the brush is kind of a little bit quick. Like that. Okay. Create a little bit texture here like that. Yeah. Okay, squeeze it kind of flat like that, and yeah, just a little bit of dry brushing going on. I think that looks good. Okay, yeah, a little bit too repetitive here, so I'm just going to break it up. "44 people, that's a new record for the live stream. Okay, so far so good. Okay, I'm just going to start to paint the leaf while I'm waiting for this to dry. I'm going to do a second layer on top. And I'm just going to erase this pencil line. This doesn't really need to be there. Okay, so for the dry leaf, I'm going to mix a little bit more orange color. Okay. Let me change a brush actually. So orange, a little bit burnt sienna. First wash, keep it nice and wet, okay? Yet with enough paint to give it some nice colors there. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why I don't really recommend to use student grade color, because student grade color usually has less of an intensity, and you can still do a good painting with it, but you'll need a lot more, and it's going to be a lot harder to put that on. So okay, so just okay, I want to make it a little bit yellow here. A little bit yellow here. Just okay. Okay. The part that's against the sun, leaf is semi-transparent, so even though this part is kind of curling away from the sun, kind of curling away from the sun, it still transmits some light through, but it will be a lot redder. So I'll be doing that here. Okay. something like that. Same thing, the leaf does cast shadow too. Okay, so here it is. Nice, cool, transparent looking shadow. Okay, shadow is not completely black. Okay, there's a lot of skylight, especially outside during the day. There's a lot of skylight that makes the shadow not completely black. Again, yeah, I connect them together. Just a color tone. And same thing, I'll mix a little bit of the orange there. Some more shadows here. Just hope it's not dry yet, so I can kind of do that. I'll loosen some of the edge here. And let me try giving a little bit of red tone down here. Okay, add a little color. It's, you know, it's fun. Some leaf on the back. Okay, zoom in a little bit. All right, so this leaf is behind the chipmunk, so there should be a little bit of fur. I would kind of just suggest it, so not giving like a really flat edge here. Let me see. Again, the leaf casting a little bit of shadow. Okay. It's a little bit too dark. I'm just gonna blot it out. Okay, I think that's good. And then the last one. The last tiny leaf there. Okay, see, I try not to lift my brush, okay? Just because it's a nice delicate shape doesn't mean I start to dab like this. And same thing, give it a little bit of shadow here. It can be a little bit bluer, I think. A little bit bluer here. And okay, quite a bit of blue, and I'll add a little bit of warm color back here. Okay, a little bit warmer. All right. Hi Sophia, you can watch this all day. Unfortunately, I cannot do this all day. I mean, it would be nice, but I'll get very tired. I mean, I do like painting, but just a little thing about me and the painting. I feel like when, you know, if I do a painting, I think for most people, I think if you're doing a painting, and especially if you do a lot of thinking when you're painting, when a painting is done, you should actually feel kind of tired, at least mentally, because you use a lot of mental energy, do a lot of thinking and stuff. So I don't know, it's just what I think. Okay, here's another leaf here. Okay, nice and easy, and we'll just pick up some of this cool color here, and we'll do a little bit of shadow here as well, I think. Yeah, something like that. Don't have to be really defined. All right, so okay, it's pretty much dry, but just for my own safety, I'm gonna blow it dry, which is something I really do, but I don't want to keep you guys waiting. Okay, it's now completely dry. So if this feel the same temperature as the rest of paper, that's pretty much means it's completely dry. So I can start painting on it again. So now if we really look at this photo, the chipmunk is kind of backlight, so a lot of it are going to be in the shadow. But if I paint everything the same value as the photo, it's going to turn up a lot darker than I want it to be. So I will try to kind of up one key a little bit. So this will be the value of the light, and I'll probably, the midtone will probably be the light color of the chipmunk. So I'll show you real quick what I mean. So for the midtone, I'll mix somewhat of like a saturate, a little bit more saturated, a little bit more warmer, a little bit warmer, and I'll do a test here. Okay, I think that's good enough. Whoops. I think that's good enough, so I'll start with that. Alright, where is my other brush? Here we go. Okay, I'll use like a cleaner water. I'm just going to soften this. I'll have it fade off like that. Okay. Okay, I'll add a little bit of cool color to neutralize it a little bit so it doesn't look too warm all over the place. Give it a little hint of the hair like that. And I think we are good here. I'll have my damp brush. I'm going to soften this edge, kind of just clean water connecting those together. little bit darker here and just continued it down. A little bit darker down here, but not too much. And clean water. Okay, just soften this. Okay, that's why I need to wait for it to completely dry, because I'm going to use clean water to soften the edges quite a bit. Okay, so if it's not completely dry, I'm going to ruin the wash underneath, and you definitely want to do that. Okay. Okay, a little bit of hints of finger. I'm not going to paint too detailed on that. But here we have it. And I think we need to bring a little bit of warmth back as it comes down here. Okay. Yeah, like a little bit of shadow here. And there's some shadow here. So I know some of the shadow I kind of need to make it up. And let me see what else. All right. Okay, just like a smaller brush, and I'm going to carefully paint the ear. Okay, it's too wet. I'm seeing a huge bead there. A little bit of cool color. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit neutral tint just to make it dark. This is quite dark and dry because I want to bring this over here while the layer is not completely dry. So okay, this part I need to be really careful. Chipmunk's eyes. And, yeah. Okay, don't fill it all in. Sorry, we need a little bit of reflection here. Okay. And from this, I will come out here. Down to his mouth here. Okay, a little bit too much paint. I'll use a dry brush to kind of lift off some of it. And let me do another one here. Nice and easy and gentle. Give it a little bit texture of the hair. So that's how you give some hair texture. Okay, just kind of like the side of the brush and just bring up some very nice quick mark. Not by doing this, okay? At least for me, I don't have the patience to do that kind of work. A little hints, suggestion would be good enough. Okay, so the back ear, the ears on the back, is quite dark in the photo, but I think I will keep it a little bit lighter here and a little bit cooler. Decision I want to make just so that we can have just a tiny bit more of depth here. Okay. Okay, so 47 people right now. Thanks all for tuning in. Okay, so there's another dark stripe underneath here. So do that. Okay, the part here, I'm just gonna let it fade off. Okay, I'm not going to draw a complete line going there. Makes it feels like, you know, somebody's paint on this face. You need to have a little bit of hard and soft edge kind of working with each other. If you feel like sleeping because you listen to me, by all means, please do that. I am happy to help you. And I do know how important sleep is, so right. Okay, so I would have a little bit again, this is a little bit further away, so I will make this part a little bit bluer and a little bit lighter. Okay, few hints of brushstroke here. And a little bit down here. Rest of it, let's fade that into the light here. There we go. Keep it soft and keep it light, okay? When you're painting this, really paint it as you are like kind of stroking this little chipmunk. You want to be gentle. You don't want to give it like a really hard. You don't want to give it like a really hard brushstroke. Okay, so there's one here. Okay, this part I just starting to be a little bit more free. I don't use my finger to kind of bring out a little bit of textures. Yeah, just try to be a little bit more free. I don't want to get it too tight here, because if I want like 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, it's going to look that very, very quickly. Gentle and soft. Well, it depends on the subject you paint, right? Like this is a nice little cute chipmunk and have like very soft fur, so I will definitely try to reflect that. And all right. give a little bit of dark here. So I want to give it a little bit more sense of light. So this kind of feels like a core, like a form shadow almost. All right, let me be a little bit bolder. I'm gonna add a little bit of red here. Okay, I'll have the pattern almost kind of merge into the shadow too, so yeah. Gotta step back and or squint your eyes once in a while and not get lost into the detail. When you lock your eyes on the detail, you're going to get lost very quickly. And all that detail is going to pop right into your face and you'll be tempted to paint them all. And that's a very bad move. Okay, so okay, a little bit dark here. Let's have that merge in. I want a little bit of light here, but for the rest of it, I think I'll just keep them dark, like so. Get that lake in, a little tiny lake. I think I made the lake of my chipmunk in the painting a little bit longer, but I think that is okay. Alright, nice clean water, and we'll just soften, blend into the rest of it. Let me zoom in now a little bit. I might come back to it and do a little bit more dry brushing details and stuff, but I think for the most part this is good. A little bit dark, a little bit of neutral tint down here. Make the eye a little bit darker and a little bit of shadow, dark shadow between the mouth and the hand. It's hand or front leg, whatever that might be. I want to get that color into the shadow, but I will have it faded off here so that remains clean. Alright, the tail. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. At least I think this is what I'm going to do. I am going to use a clean water and I'll just kind of very lightly wet a few places here and there. I cannot even see where I'm wetting it, so I'm just letting it do its thing. I don't even know where I wet it, so I don't know what's going to happen. So you're witnessing me taking a chance and see what is it going to happen. Go one stroke here. Alright, let's do another one. Would you look at that? See, because I pre-wet some of the areas, some of it gets lost, some of it is hard edge, some of it is soft edge, which is almost just like what you're looking at. And yeah, just keep it kind of like a fan brush looking shape here like that. And I'll just bring out the hair a little bit. The hair is pretty thin, like it's pretty loose in his tail. I wonder what happened. Maybe it went somewhere and shed off a lot of fur somewhere, maybe in a tree or something. I don't quite know, but here we go. Alright, so down here, I almost forgot, but his tail is casting shadow too, so I'll clean my brush, take a nice blue color, and yeah, I'll just, from his butt, where he's sitting down, I'll just bring it out like so. And the tail touches the shadow here, and that's where they merge. And same thing, I'll just bring out some of the texture here. Okay, so I kind of need to reflect what happens. A little bit too harsh though. I'm gonna soften some of this just for my, just to makes a little bit of difference. And yeah, I want to splash a little bit just to make it less stiff. Loosen up a little bit. That's okay. All right. Oh, look at that. So yeah, once in a while paint something that, that's interesting and personal. A little painting like this sometimes can be very personal, and I can actually kind of like that. I think what you're seeing is a lot more yellow than what I'm looking at. Let me see if I can change that. I'm not sure I can though, so yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it at this white balance. It kind of mess it up sometime. I will of course share the final picture at the end. Okay, so let me do this leaf here. This is our secondary thing here. Let me focus on this guy a little bit so you can see. All right. So let's just make it a little bit more intense by adding another layer of kind of orange, red, burnt sienna. Okay. Clean water. Let me just soften this, bring this paint out like that. Okay, I do still want a little bit of transparency feeling in that back leaf here. So this is called subsurface scattering. What it means is that it's absorbing the light that is passing through. So it's very similar if you're in a dark place and you have a very strong lighting behind your ear is going to be very, very red and looking very transparent. This is what happened to the leaf when we have a light coming through from behind. It's going to do that. So I think a lot of time, I think a good artist learn to observe the world around them. Okay, I'm not just sitting there and paint all day. I mean, it would be nice, but it's good to learn what you need to see and observe around the world around you. And like think during my job as a video game artist, this is definitely something I really need to do, to observe the world around me, because when you think of video game, usually people think it's unrealistic, it's fantasy, it's sci-fi, it's whatever, it's not real. But a lot of time what we base on is real world. We base on the things in the real world. If we just make everything out of blue with no visual reference in this world, nobody can connect with it. So it may look unrealistic, it may look weird, but it's still based on the real world. So when I'm doing anything video game related, I still need to look at a lot of reference in the real world. And if you understand what's going on in the real world and you translate that visually in your painting, I believe it's going to look more alive and more believable. It might not be the most realistic. I'm not a realistic painter. But just because I understand, at least I understand somewhat what's going on in the photo. Why is the lighting doing this? Why is it looking like this? That makes the painting believable. Okay, alright. I'm just gonna make this a little bit cooler. I think the leaf catches a little bit of dirt on top of its dying. Alright, soften it with water. A little bit more warms here. Okay, so kind of like a texture here. Okay, and the edge is a little bit warmer here. I think it's because the edge is a little bit more curled, so it's blocking out a little bit more light, so it's a little bit darker. Just kind of show a little bit of thickness. That's also a good thing. So, all right. So again, clean water. I'm just going to soften some of this shape. Okay, and I'll soften this, merge that into the shadow, and I think that looks pretty good. So I soften this edge right here, but I keep this hard edge, so it gives you a little bit more sense of turning and form. Okay, so I'm not like soften everything. I'm starting to make things very mushy. Okay, knowing what edge to soften is also very important, and I cannot explain exactly why I do certain things, but I think as you paint, you're going to face the same choice and making the same decisions. All right, let's. Okay, stepping back and see how it looks. I am not quite sure about this. I think it needs to have a little bit, yeah. I don't quite like, there's a, just like a light line there, so I'm going to break that up a little bit. Too clean here. It's kind of weird. Okay, yeah, I think that looks a little bit better. I don't like it to have like a white line just going up here like that. Okay, it's a tiny leaf and I spend way too much time on it. Let me move on to this guy. So this guy is kind of referring from this leaf right here. So, but it should be a lot simpler though. Oops. Okay, I see I'm going to actually mix a little bit more of like a purple looking color. That I will be doing this. See this, the whole painting, this is the only two brush I'm using. Both Kolinsky. This is a number 10, this is a number 6, and that's it. Okay. I don't like to change brush too much. And plus, with a good brush, you can make a variety of different marks there. Okay. Yeah, and just the other day I found out if you're using a tablet like iPad, or you're using like a mobile phone like iPhone, if you are not watching this with the YouTube app, you are not able to leave a comment in the live comment. So just something that I want you to know. All right, time to kind of soften some of the mark, merge them. Okay. Yeah, so if you're watching and you find yourself not able to comment or to ask question or anything, it's probably because you're not using the YouTube app, or you just fall asleep, and either way it doesn't really matter. I'm just thankful that you're here. Okay. This is pretty good. I'm just going to, oops. I'm just going to give it a tiny little bit of hint here and here. Okay, don't overdo it, just a little bit. And I think this is good. Okay, I'm gonna make the stern here a little bit darker. All right, so, oops. Okay, so the last two leaves up there. Okay, just to separate the distance a little bit more, I'm going to be very loose on this guy. So I'm just going to do this here, run right here, this right here, and another little suggestion here, and and that's pretty much it. I'll soften this right here, this down here. I'm just gonna leave that, and this little guy right here, same thing. The last thing I wanted to compete was the chipmunk, so little hints of shadow here, a little texture here. Tiny bit of cool color here. Okay, actually I feel that I want to make it just a little bit yellow here. Go here. All right, so there's a lot of solid shape or something. I'm not sure how do I call it. I think we can like add a few kind of like a little crumbled up leaves, you know, leaf kind of crumbled up and it kind of breaks, so we can just give it a little bit dots here and maybe one here. Yeah, just so that the space is not so empty overall. We kind of break up the space a little bit. Yeah, let me have a little leaf here as well. Okay. Use your brush, okay? Use your brush, okay? So you have like a, let me use this as an example. You can press it down, give it like a bigger shape, and then lift up ever so slightly. Okay, use your brush like a conductor. Okay, like you're composing music. There's strong notes, there are lighter notes, and so on. Don't just make a repetitive mark. A little bit splash there. We are close to finish. Now all this little chipped off leaf, if I give it just a tiny bit of hints of shadow here, all of a sudden it becomes three-dimensional. It feels like it's sitting on the surface instead of floating shape. I'm gonna leave that as is. All right. I think this is pretty much it. Let me see what else I can do. I think this is pretty much good. Okay, I'll probably stay on for another like 5 minutes or so. Yeah, it's about an hour. I think that's an hour is quite a long time for this little painting. Like I said, I actually not a fast painter at all, so I'm actually thankful that you guys stick with me for that long. Okay, let's give it a little bit more dark here, just to give a little hints of that. Pattern here, and then I think this light is a little bit bothering me because it should be in the shadow. This part should all be in the shadow, so I'm going to give it a little bit of glaze. Yeah, this should be dry enough, so I'm just gonna glaze it over. Just to let it have a little bit more contrast for the light here. It's funny because when your eyes focusing on that, you do see the value difference because of the color of the fur. But when you kind of squint your eyes and you sit back, you see the most of the light are in this area. So yeah, you don't want to just paint everything. Alright, I think this is pretty much it. Anybody have questions or anything like that? Just a nice fun little painting. I'm gonna use some white gouache to bring some of the light back. Not too much though, just a little, break up a little shape here. And I somehow lose the highlight of the eye here. No, it's not gonna paint that long. It's not gonna take that long, but thanks. And little hints of shadow here as in the photo. Alright, where should I sign? I will sign it. Yeah, I'll just sign it down here. I'll just sign here. I'll do like a tiny little signature here. And today is, oh, actually I don't need to put months. I usually just put year when my syncing. So 1/8. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. It is fun. It's definitely very fun to do this little painting. Let me shift the camera so you can see it in the right angle, hopefully. Whoops. All right, let me rotate that. Here we go. Zoom that out. Any question before I sign off? Thank you. Hi, Miyuki. I didn't know you're here. All right. I actually like this leaf quite a bit. It feels quite, feels three-dimensional. Okay, well, see you guys soon. I will hopefully do more public live stream like this, but during the week I will do more live stream for the course, for the people who sign up the course, and I'll hopefully do a public live stream during the weekend so you guys can enjoy that. Okay, I will be signing off here. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. See you later. Bye.